North Carolina State Highway Patrol.
What cigarette do you smoke, Doctor?
A contributing factor to our juvenile delinquency of today.
Rock and roll has got to go.
And welcome back to the Hometown Holler. I'm Daniel Ayers.
And I'm Quinn Ray.
Well, hey, man.
I never thought I would see you again.
Why is that?
I heard that you were going up to Hampton, Virginia for a weekend of
fish, man.
Fish and debauchery.
It was controlled debauchery, but yeah, I did
the best kind.
Three nights of fish. You know, Hampton Coliseum is known in the jam band world as the mothership. The Grateful Dead played there many a times. It was a place my dad and my mom had always talked about seeing the Grateful Dead.
Oh, you've never been?
Well, I've been to Hampton before,
Okay.
yes, to see Fish. But this weekend specifically was Fish now has surpassed the amount of times played there than the Grateful Dead.
Okay.
So it was a really special. It's definitely like a spiritual, like pilgrimage.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to explain if you're not there what it is.
I looked it up because you explained it to me, and I was trying to wrap my head around it. And frankly, I think it's one of those things where like it's impossible for me as a heathen to comprehend it, right? As an infidel,
right.
But like it's like a hippie Hajj,
It's
right?
something,
you
man.
like go to like the sacred space.
Yes.
You're in the mothership, and you're communing with fish with your fellow fish heads.
Yeah.
See, I said fish heads. I know the lingo.
Anyway, you're this close, but we don't need any more fish fans, so you don't have to join this.
Sounded
it was not
like
fun
an
at
awesome
all.
trip,
Yes,
though.
it was
Yeah.
tons, and I was glad to do it. It was the first time doing a 3-night run. My wife and I did it a lot, but then we had kids, and kids throw wrenches into plans, and so Mima and Papa held it down, and we got to do it. So it was really fun, and I'm glad I did it. Now I'm just trying to get back into the real world and doing it in a very cool way with one of our best good friends.
Yeah, I was before I went to the fish intro. My original intro was going to be like about campaign slogans, because you've run a campaign,
Yep.
you've had a campaign slogan. I have yet to do so, but I have slogans in mind. And Beth, you've got one of the best ever. I mean, there's like, we like Ike, Tippecanoe, and Tyler too, and then Beth Kennett to win it.
There you go.
It's just
It's so good.
In the pantheon of great slogans, you're up there with the best. So, folks, today we are hanging out with our friend Beth Kennett. You are a candidate, again, to take the mayorship of Burlington, North Carolina. And we're going to talk about the importance of local elections, why you're running for office, because this is not something, you ran in 2023, and I remember that was something that you prayerfully considered. It was not an easy, I woke up in the morning, the first day filing was open and walked in. I mean, and from what I gather, it's the same way this time around. It's something you've really, really thought about.
I have.
And
You're
I think,
right.
and I think it's important for folks to understand that for many folks who run for office at many levels, it's not something that is necessarily a given. You know, for some folks it's on the bucket list, but for some folks it's a decision they arrive at after a lot of contemplation.
Yep.
So looking forward to chatting about that.
I'm seeing yard signs popping up everywhere, which is really exciting, and you're constantly on the move. So I'm ready to see what it's all about, and let's talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I imagine one of the questions you get a lot on the campaign trail is just the fundamental question of, why do municipal races matter? So maybe that's a great place for us to start.
Do
today.
they matter?
Yep. Of course they matter. Mr. Councilman.
Called out.
Yeah, dang.
Yes, they matter. And I think municipal elections matter because this is our everyday life. This is where we live. This is where we play. This is what we do every day. And the decisions that our mayor and council and city staff make that's what impacts our lives every day. National elections, that's impacting our lives every day too, right now. But what happens in the city of Burlington affects my paycheck because it affects how much comes out of my paycheck when I have to pay taxes, in a different way than our national elections do. really, even right now I'm serving on the traffic commission for the city of Burlington.
Yeah.
So even, driving down the road, I'm thinking about what do we do here in the city of Burlington? How do we make this better? How do we live in a way that's comfortable for the people who live here? How do we work in a way that's comfortable for the people here?
Are these questions that you thought about a lot before deciding to run? Like, do you consider yourself a political person?
Not really. Behind the scenes. I mean, I've probably worked for most of the Democratic local candidates who have run for office in the past, 10 years?
Yeah, something
I've
like that.
probably done something for their campaign. Whether it's a donation or knocking on doors, writing postcards. I mean, most of it's definitely in the city of Burlington. I've helped their campaigns. That really is where I'm most comfortable. It is easy for me to go knock on a door and tell whoever comes to the door about Quinn or Daniel than it is for me to tell them about me.
Oh, wow. Really?
So, most definitely.
Man, see, I feel the total opposite. Like when
I feel the opposite too.
I can go. I've canvassed for other candidates, and when I knock on the door to tell, I feel like I'm selling them more so than when I go knock for myself. I am just talking about. Well, I'm trying to listen, but
Right.
I'm talking about me, which is so much easier than they were like, well, what does Beth think about this? Oh, I don't remember asking Beth that question,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I don't know, and I don't want to answer for you to piss somebody off.
Right. Well, when I knock on the door, if I lead with, I'm Beth Kennett, I'm running for mayor of Burlington, tell me what you love about our city. If I lead with a question like that,
Good opener.
then I'm much more comfortable
Yeah.
than if they say, well, tell us about you. And then I just kind of like blank.
Oh, yeah. I'm just not a fan of that question in general
Yep.
because it's so like, okay, what part of me, like
Right.
which,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, and you can only be a good leader when you know what the people are thinking, right? So going there and telling them, this is what I'm doing, this is who I am, this is what's up, is way more abrasive than just like, tell me what you love about Burlington.
Right.
Tell me what you love about our town. Tell me what you don't love about our town, right?
That's usually the second question I ask. And so what are your concerns?
Yeah, listening. That's just. So what made you decide to get on this ballot again?
Again, 2 years ago, decided to run because I believe there should be more than one person on the ballot. That I think you need a choice when you go to vote.
That damn democracy thing.
Yes, I really believe in that stuff. So that was really the thing that made me run for mayor 2 years ago. One of the people I reached out to for a donation said to me, "What are you going to do if you don't win? What are you going to do the day after election day?" And I said, I'll probably sleep in first. And then I'm going to be doing the same things I always do. I'm going to be active in the community. I'm going to be engaged. I'll be working for other candidates. I will be doing what Beth does. And he said to me, that's not the answer I want to hear. I want to hear I start my campaign for the next time I run. And that stayed with me. I wasn't certain I believed it, but it stayed with me. I mean, I think that's a good idea if you know you're going to run for office. And that was where I wasn't certain, am I going to do this again? But as we got closer, I mean, last year it was all about, knocking on doors for Kamala. And then as we got closer to 2025, I began to ask myself, do I want to do this again? And why? And the reason I want to do this is because I still believe the city of Burlington deserves a choice. And I believe they deserve somebody who's going to listen and care. And that's what I do. That's who I am. That's what I do. It's easy for me to care about people, especially if I know their story. So if I can ask a question, what do you love about Burlington? And then hear the stories that begin to flow, then it's just really easy to care.
Yeah, I think last year when you ran, and we talked about this on the air the first time, you ran, everybody in Burlington knew you were going, this time it was a Republican versus a Democrat. It's a nonpartisan election though, but registered Republican, registered Democrat. This, the current mayor who won the election, he was well known in the community, and it really just felt like he's going to win by a landslide. He's just well known in the community. And, we commend Beth for doing it. But, I think we mentioned your supporters and people that believed in you. We dropped the ball because I think you only lost by like maybe 400 votes.
No, it was less than that. It was like
172.
100 is so close, and it was eye-opening for me. I don't live in Burlington. I can't vote for you, but I supported you. And so for me, it was like, man, just, if 50 of us knocked on 2 more doors, right? It was like so close. And so when you decided to run again this year, it was like, I'm seeing the motion that came from 2 years ago. The gears are already a little oiled, and it's just becoming a machine. You're out there, you've got a team with you, more so than it was last year. Not that you weren't serious last year about it, but it just seems different this go round.
It's a different race this time too, where my opponent 2 years ago, people did know him. He was the incumbent, but there also were a lot of people who didn't like him, right?
Right.
So that was an opportunity for me. This time, greater name recognition in my opponent, and it seems that a lot of people like him. So that it's a different race.
Yeah.
He also has been on city council for 20 years.
Wow.
Either as a council person or mayor. So that's a lot.
Yeah.
However, you've been on council for 20 years, and are we satisfied with the decisions that are being made? No. So that's why I'm running. It's time for something different. It's time for change.
You've been involved in a lot of capacities, but it's one thing to live in a place. It's one thing to get involved in organizations. You really, just from, I have not run, but like talking to Quinn, talking with folks who have run, it seems like you get a totally different novel perspective as soon as you throw your hat in the ring. You start to interact with the space that is familiar to you in new ways. You start to view people and places that you thought you understood. I mean, could you talk a little bit about how your perspective on Burlington has shifted, on this place that you call home and the people you call neighbors? How has that changed as a result of becoming a candidate?
Well, I think the first way I have felt change is to, I can walk in a room, walk in a restaurant, and people know who I am just because I ran for office. And they don't really know me, but they know who I am. And that always throws me a little bit. I don't know what to do with it.
Okay.
That's fair.
Yeah. I always can turn it to the place of, oh, it's so nice to meet you, and tell me more about you. I can always do that.
You're not going to be like, damn right, that's me, kiss the ring.
Yeah, right. Bow down.
I'm not quite there yet.
Okay.
Not there. But the other thing the other way I've been impacted is to realize that decisions, 17 new pickleball courts.
Wow.
Decisions.
Do we have that many pickleball players in Alamance County?
That's a good question. That's a good question, and I don't know the answer to it.
I don't have a frame of reference, but that seems like a lot of pickleball
Well,
courts.
I think that's 17 in one location. Now, see, I'm going to show my ignorance. I don't even know all the details, right? But 17 in one location, and there are others in another part of town. So there are a lot of pickleball courts.
I mean, it's popular. I know it's a popular sport. New players.
It is.
Showing up
tell
all the
you,
time.
We can go about the socioeconomics and the demographics of who play these sports and who doesn't play these sports. And
so I'm new to this. I can tell that there's something I'm not picking up on that you guys know a lot about already.
Pickleball is a white person sport. It's for white people.
No, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's not for white people. That sounds terrible. But it's older white folks that play this game. Sure. For the most part.
The folks I know who play pickleball, I mean, I
are retired.
Well, they're retired and they're in Chapel Hill. I didn't know until just now that we had pickleball.
And specifically in Burlington for me, and again, I'm not a Burlingtonite, but in East Burlington.
Burlingtonian, I believe.
They put up a ton of pickleball courts, spent millions of taxpayer dollars for this. And, we keep having people screaming, what about our youth? What about the kids? Where can they go do stuff?
I did not know about this.
And
That's pretty
instead
whack.
of
That's crazy.
It is. So the decision making, and if you look at the board, it is a majority old white person board, and so
White dudes
who could be retired, and it seems like they're helping their buddies out.
I'm learning this now for the first time.
I guess that's bringing in stuff for the economy, but the whole pickleball thing in Burlington is a big issue, and that's a big decision. That's why local stuff matters, because when that was getting passed, people in East Burlington were in an uproar about it. So pay attention to who you vote for and go vote.
Yeah,
those decisions don't happen in a vacuum.
Right.
Right.
I recently learned from having conversations with people in the community that there are at least 2 pickleball courts at Fairchild, and one of them, or at least one of them, maybe both of them, at least one of them needs repair. They've never been able to use it because it wasn't put in correctly from the beginning.
The new pickleball courts already need repair.
They adapted tennis courts to pickleball. And talk about the difference in West Burlington and East Burlington and the attention it gets. Some days it's energy. It's exhausting. I work a full-time job, and like many people, I don't just work 40 hours a week. So some days it's hard because of time. Fundraising is always a challenge. Again, I can raise money for you much easier than I could for me.
Well, we won't say no to you doing
Right, of course.
Take you up on that. No.
Right. One hard thing, I don't know that I carry this around all the time, is even the mayor doesn't have so much power that they just make things happen, right?
This position is a voting mayor.
Right.
Yeah, you get a vote in this situation. Yeah.
Right. It really is a city council position, right? You're another council person. You just get to be called mayor.
Well, and adopt and help craft the agenda of the
bully
that is
pulpit,
true.
right?
Yeah.
That's true. So I think realizing that I am just one vote, but it takes my vote and the votes of others on council to make a difference. Also, there's a lot of stuff going on in Burlington. I mean, you can't drive down a street that the street's not torn up because of repairs to infrastructure. And I think, what do I know about infrastructure? What do I know about sewage? I don't know about sewage. I don't know about pipes. But what I do know is that there are people on city staff who do know those things. And I think if council is working well with city staff, then that's good for everybody. That's more positive. So the hard part is I don't know that I fully know.
Sure.
I don't know what I don't know, obviously, but I think the hard part is anticipating the size of everything. I mean, it's just big
I guess
work.
where I was going with this, Beth, was leading into this next question, and I appreciate you not necessarily saying it and believing it, but we know that it is more difficult through data for women candidates to raise money. We know it is more difficult for women to get elected.
Right.
The position you're running for Burlington mayor, there has never been a woman mayor of Burlington.
It's time.
And so it seems like there is a lot of things that are existential, out of your control, that can make this campaign hard. So how is it, and how do you feel being potentially the first woman mayor? Do you carry that with you? Is that something you lead with saying, I will be the first woman if you vote for me? Is that how it's approached?
And I'd also be curious to hear if you've experienced some of those challenges. If you, and that might be a tougher question to answer, but have you run up against a challenge that you thought, if I was a dude?
Yeah, like knocking on a door and some dude's like, I ain't voting for a woman. Like, is that
Has that happened?
Yeah, I mean, is that a
Actually,
thing?
that hasn't happened.
Okay, cool. That's yeah.
So that's
See?
a good thing.
Yeah.
Let me give you some perspective.
Sure.
I'm an ordained minister. I was ordained a long time ago. I'm not even certain how many years ago now. 34 years ago, okay? In a time when women clergy, I went to divinity school, and there was a whole movement around not recognizing and acknowledging women as clergy. So I have a history, a career of standing up against, this is a male job. This is, but I've also seen in ministry that although it's still easier for men, I will say that too, that what was predominantly a male career is probably now predominantly a female career. Or at least there are probably more, and I could have pulled some numbers on that, but I would anticipate that there are more ordained women who are interested in serving congregations than there are men at this point.
Interesting.
But how many women do you know who are serving as pastor? So it's men, it is still easier for them to get those jobs than it is for a woman. That is a parallel to me of politics.
Okay.
Of leadership of any kind, that as a woman, I guess some people see that I'm a woman first before they acknowledge that I'm a leader. Some people will never acknowledge that I'm a leader. And I would venture to guess that I'm a better leader than, I started to say, most of the men I know. Actually, maybe that's true.
Yeah.
And part of that comes from many years of practice and having to practice in places where I had to prove myself. I'm not about proving myself anymore. And I say that, it's much easier for me to say it than it is to live into it. But I have reached a point that I am about doing the best job I can do in whatever it is I'm doing. And I don't have to prove that to you, because if you need that proof, that's on you. I'm going to be the best Beth I can be and lean into what I do well.
But as a candidate that you run to get elected,
Right?
you have to prove once elected that you
can
are
do
good,
this.
that you can be the leader.
So I don't think that, I think who I am and how I work will be the proof. And if the residents in the city of Burlington had an opportunity to know me today and to engage with me and see me at work, I think they would know that.
Yeah, I guess it's really hard to let everybody in such a short amount of time to.
I think that's the big tragedy of municipal elections is that the reality is, and we have, of all the folks in Alamance County, you and I have one of the larger platforms.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of folks still won't hear this interview. Right? Like, I think that's the riddle that I wish we could solve. And I know, we know how to solve it. Making voting more accessible.
Right.
Making it possible to go to the polls during the workday, not taking away early voting on Sundays, right? There are, just making democracy accessible goes a long way towards solving that problem. But
also, I don't know if it's apathy with this. I know we talk about apathy during elections a lot.
Yep.
But, even these municipal elections, like we're seeing yard signs popping up just about as many as we do during a presidential election across the town. Like there's no secret an election is coming up across the state for municipals. Yet people still, I don't know if it's because they don't know the Beths of the state or they just choose not to and let it roll.
I think it has probably more to do, I'm curious to your thoughts. My gut is that it has less to do with the candidate, with the Beth or with the other, whoever it is, but like more to do with what the hell's a mayor of Burlington?
Right.
Like, I don't mean, just what?
Right.
Like that. I mean, like, like the mayor that I know is like the mayor of Whoville and the mayor in Jaws. Like those are when I think of mayor, it's like the guy who wanted to keep the beaches open and the guy who wanted like, Christmas every day forever.
Right.
I'm all for that.
And to keep out the Grinch, which, Grinch should be included. Bring in the Grinch.
So it is interesting. I can knock on a door and I know you've experienced this too. You knock on a door and somebody comes to the door and I go, I'm Beth Kennett. I'm running for mayor of Burlington. And they say, do we have an election this year?
Oh, see?
And I go, yes, we have an election every year. Every year there is an election. Mm-hmm. And this year you have an opportunity to vote for me. And I will be, and I frequently say, and I will be the first female mayor of Burlington.
Nice.
And it is 2025.
Yeah.
And that will be 2026. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And next year there's also an election. So, I see any door knocking that we do for my campaign is paving the way for 2026. Mm-hmm. We are trying to knock on doors of people who are regular voters, but also people who might not get out and vote this year. And if they might not get out and vote this year, then they might not get out and vote next year. Mm-hmm. So anybody that we can get to the polls this year, that makes it easier for Anita Earls and everybody who's on the ballot next year.
Oh, so you're building infrastructure. You said you didn't know about infrastructure, and look at you building
Well, I
it.
meant sewage infrastructure.
Social infrastructure.
That's right. So I got a question to move on real quick because I know we're going to come up here on time, but I've got 2 young girls. They're 7 and 4. And what do you think it means to young people? Because I have a dad answer for it, but I don't have a Beth answer for it. Mm-hmm. And you have 2 young girls.
Right.
Well,
they're
you
not
have
so
2
young
girls.
anymore.
You have adult girls, but they're young. What do you think it means for young people to see you putting in all this work, working full time, being a full time mom, having a full time job, being a full time candidate to potentially be the first woman mayor of Burlington? What do you think that signifies to them?
I think few women run for office because they've not seen it before or they don't see it enough. And I think for your daughters to see me run for mayor lets them know that they can do this. It also lets them know, oh yeah, my dad is a public official too, and I can do that too. Mm-hmm. I know that you encourage them and that's a part of their life. I think there are a lot of young girls who don't get that encouragement. Mm-hmm. So to see somebody who is in a leadership role, to see somebody run for public office, who is a woman I hope it's helpful for them. It doesn't hurt. Let's just go there.
Yeah,
it doesn't
hurt.
And if nothing else, if it lets a child know that she can be anything she wants to be, then by all means, I will do it again. Mm. I think so often, and I don't think this is just happens to females, but so often we get the message that we can't do. Mm. And anything that we can do to encourage a younger generation to know that they can do, I think that's why we should live life, right?
I think that's
a part of it.
Yeah, I think for anyone, right, it's tough to be the thing if you haven't seen the thing. Right. So I think setting that example, being that role model is invaluable. Yeah. You never know who you're going to reach.
Right.
Where can folks find out more about your campaign, your platform, all the important deets?
So we are on social media. I'm not great with that stuff, but I know people who are. So you can find us on Facebook, bethformayor.com, on Instagram @Kennett, 4 Burlington, and
Kennett, KENNETT, 2 T's at the end.
Like Bennett, but with a K.
There you go.
Yep. And, also... You can see us out in the community too.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Because we are out knocking on doors every weekend. We are at community events. And when I say we, it is not just me. There is a whole group of people who are helping out. My family don't get a choice. They have to help. Mm-hmm. I'm very fortunate to have Emma Kennett as my campaign manager, who just because it's a municipal year, is not working on a big campaign. So Emma is, I mean, she's really helping us do this and to do it well this time.
I saw some photos recently of a canvas you guys did knocking on doors, and there were folks who I know for a fact aren't in Burlington,
That's
but
exactly
they drove
right.
across the county, and it was really cool to see folks who maybe won't have the option of stepping into a voting booth this year because they live out in the county,
Right.
But it's cool to see folks who get it, who are still
Yeah.
feeling
Yeah.
invested and want to use their voice, want to use what they have access to raise civic awareness.
Well, and then I would
do
go to say
democracy.
there's an argument to be had that even if you live in the county and don't have a municipal election, what happens in your neighboring cities
Oh, yeah.
ripples
No doubt.
Right.
to
No doubt.
your life and how that moves.
Elon got a social district first, is that right?
Yep.
And then it went to Burlington.
That's right.
I mean,
You
that's
You can
as
be
far
there
as I'm
thinking
concerned.
it was
So
us.
There
Yeah.
will be pickleball courts that show up in Elon before you know it.
Oh man,
Hey, there's
pickleball
not.
mania is unstoppable, Quinn. It is a matter of
maybe,
time.
Maybe. What
It's a real
advice
pickle.
before we land this plane
Sorry,
so
okay,
that was
all
good.
right, all right.
to get out of this pickle?
That was good.
What advice would you have for somebody who has, they dabble in politics, they vote, but they haven't ever saw themselves as a candidate? What advice would you give to somebody that wants to run for office that's never have?
Do it. Just do it.
And figure out the rest later. Yeah,
There are people who can help you figure out the rest.
Yeah, but doesn't that take
it's like
money?
Nike.
It-
Just do it.
I mean,
That's right.
aren't there some steps though? Like, do you just go down to the Board of Elections, sign up, and say, okay, and that's it? I mean,
Well, actually, that can be it.
Okay.
So I had, I love to tell a good story. I was out doing coffee and donuts one morning and happened to be across the street from the bus stop. And a sophomore in high school comes walking down the street. And so I got to share coffee and donuts with him for breakfast. And he said, "So you're running for mayor. How long did it take you to prepare for this?" And I'm thinking, I walked into the Board of Elections and filled out the paperwork, and now I'm running for mayor. And he said, no, I mean, did you have to take a class and pass
Lord.
tests
Sweetie.
and all? I mean, what did you have to do to prepare? And I said, interestingly, you don't have to do that much. And I said, and you really don't even have to do that much for any office. If you are passionate about government, if you are passionate about the way a community works together, you just have to be willing to do it. And then you go, like you said, to the Board of Elections and you file the paperwork. You can file the paperwork and not do fundraising. You can do those things. I'm not certain how that would work in an election now. I ran in 2008. I ran for school board. I filed under the threshold. I didn't do fundraising. I showed up at events. I also wasn't elected, but that was a different time than what we're living in now. But no, you don't. You have to be brave. You have to be brave enough to step out and do it. And maybe where the bravery really comes in is in asking for others to help. Because you have to ask for other people to help you. You can't do it by yourself.
that's right. Yeah, I mean that's very good advice of the asking people for help and being brave, because that is one of the hardest parts. Because even your friends, for me, I don't want to nag my friends or beg my friends to come do something. I just feel weird.
Yep.
But yeah, and then the asking for money part was the hardest for me,
Yep.
because you got to be able to
Definitely.
do that too.
Yep.
And in a big city. But Beth, I really I've known you for a few years now, longer than a few years, and I've always admired your bravery in what you do and how you move. And when you were talking about you don't know about infrastructure and sewers, and you trust that we have city staff to do it, to me, I think your biggest quality that is going to be beneficial, and I think anybody that is an elected official, especially on the local level, because there is staff that do it full time, we're not going to be experts. Our job is to make the best decision for our constituents, which is your neighbor.
Right.
And the way you do that is by asking questions. You ask the question, and when they tell you an answer, you ask the question again, why is that the answer? You keep asking, because you'll have a lot of time these bureaucrats, they'll tell you this is the only way, like we can't do this. We can't do this. And so then you got to be brave enough to ask, how can we do this?
Right.
And that, I think, is what matters most, is if you want to run for office and you want to get elected, you cannot be afraid to ask the question when you get an affirmative answer,
Right.
to ask the follow-up.
Word.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Folks, follow us on socials, the Hometown Holler, TikTok, Instagram, all of the above. I mean, if you can imagine it, we're there. Except for, like, we're not on, like, Rumble. We're not on Gab. We're not on Parler. We're not on Truth Social yet. Maybe we need to get over on Truth Social.
That would be interesting.
That would be
to get on
interesting.
Truth Social.
Dude, if the bots are bad on Twitter, I
just
can't
imagine.
imagine the Truth bots. But we also have Patreon. So
Yeah.
could be a friend of the Holler on Patreon. Read our Substack. We have great weekly articles by our senior contributor, Milo Baines,
Yep, that's
who
right.
made a recent cameo on the pod, so you know he's real. A lot of folks were like, who is Milo?
He's a real person.
And then he showed up, and he was in the flesh, and people heard his mellifluous voice.
And early voting starts Thursday?
It starts October 16th.
Yeah.
Wow. October 16th, early voting. Make sure you do it, whether or not you're here in Alamance, somewhere else. If you're eligible to vote, you have a responsibility to vote. Sorry to be the guy to put that on you, but that's democracy.
We need you to vote.
That's right.
If you like the thing, you got to take care of it. So.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week with another episode of the Hometown Holler.
Cheers.